Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Life After the PMP Exam radio show. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Lots of you have recently gotten certified, and I applaud you. Those of you who've never been on the show, welcome. This is where we talk about how to navigate life after the PMP exam. And we have a friend who has written in a number of questions today that we're going to address to make sense out of being certified. The very first concern is, how do I transition into the world of certified project management? How do I craft my narrative? Well, the honest truth is, in order to transition as a PMP certified project manager, you first of all need to give yourself time and be patient. It can be a very complex journey. Even with a PMP certification in hand, there's no guarantee that the door is going to swing wide open. See, many professionals, just like you and me, we bring in a wealth of diverse experience to the table, but we often find it challenging to articulate how those experiences translate to effective project leadership. So we call this life after the PMP exam. And life after the exam means you are demonstrating leadership every step of the way. So for everyone listening to the sound of my voice who's a PMP or certified as a project manager, you've taken a proactive step by earning your PMP and formalizing your background, and that's very commendable. However, the common challenges of imposter syndrome and resume gaps and challenges to effectively communicate your unique selling proposition, your unique value proposition, can hinder your job search. So today, I'm going to walk through a few strategies that I've covered in previous episodes on how to address these hurdles to empower you to confidently pursue project management or related goals and leverage your technical acumen and communication skills. The very first thing I want you to do is lead with impact, not titles. Remember that song from way back in the late 80s? What have you done for me lately? What have you done as a PM lately? It's not enough to say, I've got these certifications. When rubber meets road and you're in the interview and you've got two great candidates, it's going to boil down to who is the pragmatic one who can illustrate they've truly done something substantial in the world of project management. PMP or no PMP. You get what I'm saying? So instead of simply stating your past roles, you got to quantify your achievements. You got to quantify your contributions. And for lots of you, since you've led projects, whether formal or informal, you have to frame those experiences as project management successes. Let me give you an example. Let's say you worked with a cross-functional team in a very challenging environment. You could say something to the effect of, I led a cross-functional team. You see the word led. I led a cross-functional team of software engineers and UX designers in the development of a new feature, resulting in 15% increase in user engagement and 10% reduction in customer support tickets. That immediately quantifies what you've done. You're now beginning to use a SMART approach: specific, measurable, achievable, because you did it. It was realistic. You've proven it. And it's within the time frame of you working at company X. You could say, managed the data migration project for a startup. You see that power word there? Managed. It shows you're capable. Ensuring zero data loss and completing the project 5 days ahead of schedule. You see, you're putting yourself in very good light and you're using quantitative measures to show prowess. You could say, oversaw the curriculum development and implementation of a new course, training 50 plus students, consistently receiving positive feedback, and an average student rating of 4.5 out of 5. So you got to use action words. You got to quantify your results whenever possible. And this provides concrete evidence of your capabilities. In your mind's eye, always think star. What do I mean by star? By star, I mean frame your experience and your stories in an interview around a situation, a connected task, the actions that you took, and the results you obtained. Situation, task, action, result. It's going to help you. Now, when you have resume gaps, it may not immediately be apparent what you can do, but let me give you some ideas. You want to address any resume gap directly by positively highlighting your PMP pursuit as a strategic investment in your career. So if there's a gap and within that time you were studying or maybe preparing for some other certification, highlight that. You got to highlight your career transition by getting certified as a plus. So you could say something to the effect of, well, I dedicated 4 months to intensive PMP studying, culminating in first attempt certification, demonstrating commitment to mastering project management best practices. You could say, developed and executed a self-directed study plan, incorporating the PMBOK guide, practice exams, and peer-led study groups, resulting in a comprehensive understanding of project management methodologies. So there's nothing wrong in you putting career transition and PMP certification project or career transition and Agile certification, whatever it was that you've been doing. And that's why whenever you are not in the throes of a job, I encourage people to get involved in their local PMI chapter, get involved in meetings and symposiums, get involved in outfits like our PLI, the Project Leadership Institute, because some of our members, they come to meetings, they're still in pursuit of the job. We had one member who looked for a year. But having that, you belong to a body such as the Project Leadership Institute and you're actively involved, it just makes you look wildly good and intentional. You could say, I achieved an average score of 85% on my PMP mock exams, validating a strong understanding of project management principles and a readiness to apply them. You got to get creative if you've been out of the force. You get what I'm saying? You could say, I engaged in continuous professional development through webinars, workshops, expanding knowledge of Agile frameworks, risk management, and stakeholder communication. So you got to frame whatever time period is a downtime as a proactive step to enhance your skills and formalize your project management expertise. Something else that I would recommend that you do is tie your diverse experience into a single theme. What do I mean by that? Well, you got to leverage your diverse background to show your unique value proposition, your unique selling proposition. So connect the dots between your seemingly disparate experiences. For me, I started off as a music producer, but music producers need to be highly organized when they take artists to the studios, when they take bands to studios, because you're paying hundreds by the hour. So those could be painted in good light to bolster your experience as a project manager and your capabilities. An example could be a results-oriented professional with a unique synergy of technical proficiency, analytical prowess, and user-centered approaches. So if you are from a very technical world, you could say, I'm a results-oriented professional with a unique synergy of technical proficiency. I'm a CS graduate and I've got a software engineering training under my belt. I have analytical prowess, data analysis. I am able to effectively communicate and facilitate. I've been involved in lecturing. I've got good user-centered approaches such as startup UX, poised to effectively lead and deliver complex projects. Just like I showed you in my example of working as a music producer, I'm able to blend those skills in because they are relevant. So, combining your diverse backgrounds, you could say, I bring a holistic perspective to project management enabling me to bridge the gap between technical teams and business stakeholders. You got to spin what you have, my friend. No one's going to spin it for you. You got to make it sound appealing. And you got to help people see, because those are real skills. So you can use headlines that emphasize your cross-functional expertise, like technical project leader and strategic communicator, or bridging technology and business through effective project management. You get what I'm saying? Let's talk about the next concern that was raised, overcoming the imposter syndrome. Well, my 2 cents on being a victim of the imposter syndrome is to speak back to that imposter, because it's usually a gremlin on your shoulder. And that gremlin needs to be reminded of your wins. So begin to collect evidence of your wins. Create a project portfolio to document your achievements, including those from your informal project leadership experiences. And for each project, you can include the project title, your role, key challenges, but very importantly, how you address them, and quantifiable results. For example, improved user engagement by 15%, or reduced project costs by 10%, no matter how small. Find those wins, catalog them. That portfolio is going to serve as a tangible reminder for you at one point or another. I would also advise you to, again, leverage the STAR method and use competency scripts. So have scripts where it talks about your management, your leadership, your ability to manage schedule by meeting deadlines, how you solve problems, how you communicated with stakeholders, how you achieve the goal. You need to have ready stories about all of these. I have so many stories that whenever I go for an interview and I'm asked, give me an example, I have so many. I'm like a kid in the candy store. Which one am I going to talk about? And that's how you need to be as well. You need to know your resume inside out. I'd also advise that you connect with PMPs around you, those in a career transition, for support and feedback, and share your experiences. Next, I would consider strategic stepping stones. So you might want to, if you're looking and you've been looking for a while, you could start off in a project coordinator role. You could start off in a scrum master role or a BA role. And I have students who have received employments like this in the past few days and months and years. So there will always be a need for a project coordinator and a scrum master and a business analyst. And don't even think AI is going to take those away. It is not going to take those away. There will always be a need for high-end, top-quality project personnel, agile personnel. So that your next actionable steps, my friends, LinkedIn, update your LinkedIn, showcase your PMP, make sure that you're targeting those roles, like PMP with an agile mindset, or PMP / agile project manager / scrum master. Make it easy for people to find you, right? Craft a resume that highlights your unique blend of technical, communication, and project management skills, if you have those. If you're into the world of biology and pharma and medical, well, those are great skills to have as well. So you need to up the visibility of those. Showcase your PMP study and any relevant projects that you've done on your LinkedIn. I would say use a very clean, linear, non-column ATS-friendly resume format, because, the applicant tracking system, the ATS, if there are too many columns and too many images and bullets and stuff, it gets mixed up. So you got to keep it clean, okay? I would advise you to build momentum with micro projects. So keep looking for opportunities to lead projects, formally or informally, whether at your HOA or parent teachers or whatever. Look for those opportunities, maybe a religious institution, and you'll get those opportunities. And then leverage your network and prepare for interviews with structured stories. Have a story for every knowledge area: integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communication, risk, procurement, stakeholder. Have a story from, a day in the life of, where you highlight what exactly you did and how you overcame any issues or difficulties and things that bring you in good light. Okay? Finally, just addressing the imposter syndrome one more time. My recommendation, if you really want to get rid of this thing, is to know your content well. A lot of times people feel like imposters even when they're PMPs because they truly don't know the inner workings of the process. They truly don't know the inner workings of being a project management professional that can go into a company and that can help people, that can build people. And I want to challenge you. Which of these do you feel uncomfortable with? Let's talk about integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality. Which ones do you feel like an imposter in those? Because what I found about the imposter syndrome, narrowing it down, it's usually some topics or major topics, and this is what makes people feel, oh, I can't do that, oh, I'm not good enough. Or maybe there needs to be more knowledge. And if there's more knowledge, you will feel a lot less like an imposter. Overcoming the imposter syndrome is something that I have a passion to help people do. I really detest the syndrome, and I've been there in the past, but I'm a recovered imposter syndrome victim. And I can tell you, my friends, to overcome imposter syndrome, I had to know my stuff. I had to read inside out to truly master the knowledge. And now I have absolutely zero feelings of, you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve to be talking to these people. Those people are smarter than you. You know, all those negative voices that say, oh, you're not qualified, you're just lucky, things like that. It can be a very big obstacle for career transitioners, especially those of you entering a new field. You have been a project manager, but not like this. So you may feel like a fraud, but don't let that deceive you. You know, what I always tell PMPs is PMI was not delusional when they made you a PMP. You're not crazy. You earned it. So you got to recognize and acknowledge that this imposter syndrome thing is common, especially during transitions of jobs, right? And identify the situations, thoughts, and feelings that trigger it. Acknowledge those feelings without judgment. Don't dismiss them, but recognize they are not necessarily based on reality. Challenge the negative thoughts. Imposter syndrome usually manifests as, you don't belong here. Yeah, you were just lucky to have gotten PMP. You know you don't know the material. Now, if I truly don't know the material, then I got a problem. But if I do know the material, I'm going to answer it right back. I'm going to challenge those thoughts and saying, what's the evidence for this thought? Am I focusing only on my weaknesses and ignoring my strength? How would someone else view this situation? And then you got to reframe negative thoughts into more balanced and realistic ones. You know, for example, I have valuable skills and experiences. I'm capable of learning and growing. My PMP demonstrates my commitment and knowledge. PMI said I'm a project management professional. I didn't confer it on myself. You see what I'm saying? And as you do that and you keep pointing to the wins that you've had, like I said, a portfolio of wins, documenting accomplishments, goals, times you met a deadline, times you solved a problem, you will find yourself able to tackle this beast, because it is a beast, this imposter syndrome thing. I would advise that you share your feelings with friends and colleagues, people you trust, mentors and coaches. And for those of you that don't use peer-to-peer mentoring and coaching, that's a free ticket for both of you, because you play the part of a mentor, they play the part of a mentor, you play the part of a coach, they play the part of a coach, and you trade these roles. We do this all the time. The Project Leadership Institute, I encourage our members to coach, mentor each other, and they've gotten really good at it. And it's just a mutually beneficial relationship when you have a peer who can mentor you and give you further insights. All right. So that's all for today, my friends. I hope this gave you some inspiration of how you can beast up and bulk up and get even more formidable as a PMP. You have every right to sit at the table. Just remind yourself. And if there are things that you need to go back on and study up, read up, get good, then just do that. There's knowledge all over the place. Beef up your knowledge and just keep going. But keep doing the great stuff that you've been doing. And I wish you all the very best as you navigate life after the PMP exam. You got any specific questions or topics you want me to address? Just send a message and I will do my very best to feature those on a future episode. You take care and bye for now.